The night was cool and misty as I stood in the dimly lit alley, my heart racing with anticipation. I had spent months preparing for this moment, meticulously crafting the perfect persona to ensnare my target. He was a wealthy businessman, known for his charm and charisma, and tonight he would become the next victim in my grand scheme. We first met at a high society gala, where he, in his tailored tuxedo, and I, in a crimson silk gown, exchanged polite smiles across the crowded room. I had perfected the art of appearing vulnerable and irresistible, a wounded bird in search of refuge. He was the prey I had been stalking for weeks, and tonight he'd be ensnared in my trap. My plan was intricate, and I had left nothing to chance. I'd learned his likes and dislikes, his desires and dreams, and I'd meticulously tailored my responses and interests to mirror his own. It wasn't love that drew me to him. It was the promise of wealth and security, and I'd stop at nothing to secure it. We had shared a few dances, exchanged witty banter, and he had fallen for my carefully crafted facade. He was entranced by my beauty, my apparent vulnerability, and the depth of my apparent affection. Little did he know, he was just a pawn in my elaborate game of deceit. As the gala came to a close, he gallantly offered to escort me home. With a demure smile, I accepted, and we settled into his sleek black sedan. The tension in the air was palpable, and my pulse quickened as we drove through the city's labyrinthine streets. Arriving at my supposed humble abode, I invited him in. The house was adorned with just enough elegance to captivate his senses, but not too much to arouse suspicion. Soft candlelight flickered, casting shadows on the walls, and the scent of roses filled the air. He was smitten. Over glasses of wine, we engaged in intimate conversation. He spoke of his business ventures, his family, and his aspirations. I listened with feigned interest, responding with all the right words, every subtle hint of encouragement. He was intoxicated, both by the wine and the allure of my facade. I leaned in, my lips inching closer to his. He closed his eyes, anticipating the kiss he had longed for since we first met. But as our lips met, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of guilt. This man, unaware of my deceit, had a life that would soon unravel, all for the sake of my ambition. The affair that followed was a tangled web of stolen moments, secret rendezvous, and whispered promises. It was a delicate dance of deception, and I had become a master at maintaining the illusion. He introduced me to his inner circle, unaware that he was exposing himself to an imminent fall from grace. As the weeks turned into months, I continued to play my part. The closer he came to me, the more entangled he became in my web. I knew every detail of his financial empire, his vulnerabilities, and the secrets he dared not share with anyone else. The turning point came when he confessed that he was considering making me a part of his will, a testament to his undying love. It was a dangerous game I was playing, and I realized that the stakes were getting higher by the day. But I couldn't stop now. I had come too far, and the prize was too tempting to let slip away. It was during a clandestine meeting at a remote, moonlit beach that the trap was set in motion. He handed me a small, velvet box containing a stunning diamond ring and asked me to be his forever. With feigned surprise and delight, I accepted, knowing that this was the moment when my scheme would reach its climax. The plan was to marry him, secure his wealth, and then disappear into the night, leaving him broken and destitute. I had the perfect escape plan in place, a new identity waiting for me in a distant country. But I hadn't anticipated the depths of his feelings for me. As we exchanged vows before a small gathering of friends and family, I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes, a hesitation that sent a chill down my spine. He had trusted me completely, but now he was beginning to suspect my ulterior motives. After the wedding, as we retreated to our lavish honeymoon destination, I couldn't shake the feeling that the walls were closing in on me. He had become increasingly possessive, his love transforming into an obsession that threatened to expose my deceit. The idyllic honeymoon took a dark turn when he began to uncover clues, inconsistencies in my stories, and a trail of breadcrumbs that led to the truth. I could see the pieces of my carefully constructed life unraveling before my eyes, and panic gripped my heart. In a desperate bid to maintain control, I confronted him, but it only fueled his determination to uncover the truth. The charade was over, and I could no longer keep up the pretense. It was a relentless battle of wits, with our love affair spiraling into a deadly confrontation. As we confronted each other in the dim, silvery light, the truth hung heavy in the air. I couldn't deny the depths of my deceit any longer. In a moment of clarity, I confessed, my voice quivering, the weight of my betrayal pressing down on me. He stood there, shattered by the revelation, his eyes a whirlwind of emotions. The love affair had spiraled into a web of lies, but it was in this moment that something unexpected happened. Instead of anger, a profound sadness filled his gaze. He took a step closer, his hand reaching out to gently cut my face. "Why?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I met his eyes, tears welling up in my own. "I was lost," I confessed. "I was chasing a mirage of wealth and security, and I lost sight of what truly matters. But I never meant to hurt you." His thumb brushed away a tear that had escaped from the corner of my eye. "You've hurt us both," he said softly, "but I can't deny that I love you." The weight of his words hung in the air, and in that moment, a connection deeper than our deception became apparent. Love had been the catalyst for our downfall, but it was also the spark of redemption. We leaned in, our lips meeting in a kiss that carried a different kind of intensity. It was a kiss filled with the emotions we had suppressed for so long, a kiss that spoke of forgiveness, redemption, and the hope of a second chance. As the night continued to enfold us, our passion was rekindled, not as a result of deception but as a testament to the power of love. In each other's arms, we found solace, and the night seemed to come alive with the beauty of our newfound connection. The stars above shone brightly, casting a celestial glow over us as we continued to embrace, promising to rebuild our relationship on a foundation of truth and redemption. The love affair had gone horribly wrong, but it was in this moment that it took an unexpected, and perhaps even more profound, turn. The night on the remote island, once filled with turmoil, had become a symbol of transformation. As we held each other, we began to build a new chapter in our love story, one that would be grounded in honesty, forgiveness, and the redemption of two souls who had been lost but had found their way back to each other.
The day that changed everything began like any other. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, casting a warm, golden hue over our morning routine. As I made coffee, the familiar sound of his footsteps echoed down the hallway. The man I had loved for 7 years was about to walk into the room, and our lives were still so full of promise. Little did I know, it was a promise that was about to be shattered. David entered the kitchen with a sleepy smile. He wrapped his arms around me, and I leaned into his embrace. "Good morning, love," he whispered, planting a soft kiss on my forehead. "Morning," I replied, taking in the comforting scent of his cologne and the feel of his strong arms around me. As we settled at the kitchen table, sipping our coffee, I couldn't help but reflect on our relationship. David and I had been through so much together. We met in college, and our love had blossomed from there. We had shared dreams, built a life, and navigated the challenges that came our way. Our love was the kind that felt like it would endure anything. But that morning, our love faced an unprecedented challenge. As I turned to David to share a funny story from work, I saw a look of confusion in his eyes. He blinked at me, as if trying to make sense of my words. "Are you okay?" I asked, my heart sinking. David shook his head, a pained expression crossing his face. I don't know who you are. What am I doing here?" My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't comprehend what I was hearing. "David, it's me, Melissa, your wife," I said, my voice trembling. "We've been married for 7 years." He stared at me, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "I'm sorry, but I don't remember. I don't remember you." The world around me seemed to blur as the realization sunk in. David had lost his memory. his memory of me, of our love, and of our marriage. Panic coursed through my veins, but I had to stay calm. I would help him remember. I had to. Over the next few weeks, I became David's guide, navigating the confusing labyrinth of his mind. We visited doctors, specialists, and therapists, seeking answers and solutions. But no one could guarantee that David's memories would return. It was as if a vital part of him had been erased. Our home was now filled with photographs, love letters, and mementos of our life together, all in an attempt to trigger his lost memories. I would tell him stories of our adventures, our first date, and our wedding day. At times, there would be a glimmer of recognition in his eyes, only to fade away as quickly as it had appeared. My love and determination were unyielding, and I refused to give up on David. I saw glimpses of the man I loved, and I knew he was in there, buried beneath the fog of amnesia. It was during one of these moments, as we looked through our wedding album, that I saw a tear trickle down David's cheek. "I feel like I should remember this," he said, his voice quivering. "You will," I reassured him, my heart aching. But just as we were beginning to make progress, a bombshell dropped. I had been going through David's phone, checking for clues or messages that could help jog his memory. What I found sent shockwaves through me. Text messages and photos from a woman named Teresa. She was declaring her love for David and had been seeing him during the time he was missing his memories. My heart sank as I realized that David had started a new life with this woman, a life that didn't include me. I confronted David about it, my voice shaking with a mixture of anger and despair. "David, you've been seeing another woman. How could you do this to me?" He looked at me with a mixture of guilt and confusion. I don't know what to say. I don't remember our life together, Melissa. I can't help the feelings I have for Teresa now. The battle had transformed. It was no longer just about helping David regain his memory. It was about winning back his love. I couldn't accept that our love was being replaced, and I was determined to fight for it. In a desperate bid to rekindle what we had lost, I started recreating moments from our past. We went to our favorite restaurant, visited the places where we had fallen in love, and watched our favorite movies together. I was determined to show David that our love was real, that it was worth fighting for. But my efforts only seemed to confuse David more. He would alternate between moments of affection and moments of distance. It was as if he was torn between two worlds, the life he couldn't remember and the life he was creating with Teresa. My battle was not just about David's memory. It was also about discovering the truth. I had to find out how David had met Teresa and what had drawn him to her. I began to investigate, and I discovered that Teresa had been his physical therapist after the accident. She had been helping him through his recovery, and their bond had deepened into something more. One day, after yet another emotional roller coaster with David, I confronted Teresa. "Why did you let this happen? Why did you take advantage of his memory loss?" She looked at me with a mix of sympathy and remorse. "I didn't plan for any of this, Melissa. We just connected, and I couldn't help my feelings. But I know this isn't fair to you." The truth was both painful and infuriating. It was clear that David had been drawn to Teresa in a time when he couldn't remember our love. But I couldn't let her take him away from me, no matter the circumstances. With determination, I continued to help David regain his memories. I relived our happiest moments, shared our most cherished stories, and showed him the love letters we had written to each other. Teresa, though hesitant, allowed me to be part of David's recovery. As weeks turned into months, David's memories began to return, slowly but surely. It was as if pieces of a shattered mirror were coming together, reflecting the life we had built together. There were moments when he would look at me with a spark of recognition, moments when he would hold me close, and moments when he would say my name with a smile. My battle was paying off. Our love was rekindling, and I was determined to make it stronger than ever. One evening, David took me by the hand and led me to the balcony of our apartment. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, he turned to me, his eyes filled with love. "I remember," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I remember you, Melissa, and I remember our love." Tears welled up in my eyes as I embraced him. "I love you, David. I always have, and I always will." In the end, love had triumphed over amnesia, and our story was one of resilience and the power of a love worth fighting for. Our love had been tested and shaken to its core, but in the end, it had proved unbreakable. It was a love that could not be forgotten.
The day my wife Anna disappeared was the day my life shattered into 1,000 pieces. As the days turned into weeks, the dark cloud of suspicion descended upon me. I had become the prime suspect in her vanishing, and the weight of that accusation was suffocating. Anna and I had been married for 6 years, and though our relationship had its ups and downs, I never thought it would end like this. She was a free spirit, always yearning for adventure. But this time, she had ventured into the abyss of the unknown, and it seemed to have swallowed her whole. The investigation was relentless. The detectives asked me the same questions repeatedly, scrutinizing every detail of my life with Anna. Her family, friends, and colleagues were all questioned, but no one seemed to have a clue about her whereabouts. The days turned into weeks, and hope was fading fast. Then, a break in the case came, and it was the kind of revelation that shook me to my core. Anna's secret life was unveiled, and it was a life I had never known existed. The detectives discovered a series of love affairs that Anna had been engaging in. It was as if my wife, the woman I thought I knew so well, was leading a double life. Each lover had a different story to tell, stories of passion, lies, and hidden trysts that occurred right under my nose. As I was presented with the evidence, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman I had vowed to spend my life with had been deceiving me for years. The depth of her betrayal was staggering, but the most shocking revelation of all was yet to come. Anna had an identical twin sister, Emma, who had been serving as her substitute in our marriage. Emma had become my unwitting partner in a twisted game of deceit that neither of us had signed up for. Emma explained that Anna had struggled with commitment and had convinced her to step in when things got too serious between us. At first, I couldn't comprehend the level of deception they had both engaged in. It was like a nightmarish version of the movie The Parent Trap. Anna and Emma had perfected the art of switching places without anyone suspecting a thing. Their identical appearance allowed them to seamlessly swap identities whenever Anna felt the need to escape our life. Emma admitted that she was deeply conflicted about her role in the charade, but loyalty to her sister had kept her trapped in the lie. The detectives and I soon realized that we had a daunting task ahead of us. We needed to untangle the web of deceit created by the two sisters, find Anna, and prove my innocence in her disappearance. Together with Emma, I embarked on a journey to uncover the truth. It was a journey that led us into the heart of the secrets Anna had kept hidden for so long. The more we dug, the more we discovered the intricacies of Anna's double life. We tracked down each of Anna's lovers, and their stories painted a complex picture of a woman who was constantly seeking new adventures, new connections, and new escapes. It seemed that her fear of commitment had driven her to extremes, leading to the creation of the elaborate substitute scheme with her sister. But the more we uncovered, the more dangerous the situation became. It turned out that Anna's secret life was more than just a series of affairs. She had become entangled with a criminal organization that dealt in illegal activities, from smuggling to money laundering. Her insatiable desire for thrill had led her into the shadowy world of crime. As we delved deeper into the criminal connections, our lives became increasingly endangered. The organization's reach extended far and wide, and we found ourselves in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. It was a race against time to find Anna and expose the truth, all while staying one step ahead of the criminal syndicate that would stop at nothing to protect its secrets. I couldn't help but reflect on the woman I had loved, the woman who had pulled me into this treacherous world. I knew that I needed to save her, not just to prove my innocence, but because somewhere beneath all the lies, I still cared for the woman I had married. With Emma by my side, we continued to follow the trail of Anna's deception. It led us to hidden bank accounts, coded messages, and a trail of evidence that would expose the criminal organization's activities. We worked with the authorities, providing them with the information we had uncovered, all while trying to remain one step ahead of the dangerous forces pursuing us. Finally, we tracked down Anna to a remote hideout, and it was there that the truth of her situation became clear. She had become deeply embroiled in the organization's activities, and her life was in grave danger. As we confronted her, Anna broke down. She confessed to her reckless choices, the danger she had put us all in, and her overwhelming desire to escape the life she had created. It was a heartbreaking moment, and I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger, compassion, and sadness. But it was then that Emma made a confession of her own, a revelation that added another layer of complexity to the already convoluted situation. As we stood in that dimly lit hideout, Emma turned to me, her eyes filled with emotion. "I have something to tell you," she said, her voice quivering. "I never meant for any of this to happen. Over time, as I played the role of my sister, I began to understand what it was like to be in your life, to be by your side. I fell in love with you, and it tore me apart." I was stunned, speechless as the weight of her confession settled upon me. Emma had fallen in love with me while pretending to be her sister, all while keeping up the charade that had ensnared us all. The authorities arrived just in time to apprehend the criminal organization's members, and the truth about Anna's actions was exposed. The web of deceit had unraveled, and Anna's secret life had come crashing down. As the investigation concluded, Anna was faced with the consequences of her actions. She would have to answer for her involvement in the criminal organization, and she had to face the reality of the lives she had put in danger. For Emma and me, it was a journey of profound self-discovery. We had been unwittingly drawn into a world of deception, danger, and sacrifice. But through it all, we had found a bond that transcended the chaos. Emma, who had been manipulated and deceived by her twin sister, found her own path to redemption. The substitute had become a partner in our quest for truth, and as we moved forward, we hoped to rebuild our lives, free from the shadow of Anna's deceit. The scars of our past would never truly fade, but we were determined to find a future built on honesty, trust, and the strength of a love that had survived the ultimate test.